if your house just feels too big, too cluttered, or maybe just doesn't fit your lifestyle anymore, this video is for you. Time and time again, I come across clients who have been in their homes for multiple years. They've potentially raised their families there, and now it's just them, or maybe it's just a single person, and they think, this is way too much house, and I don't even know where to start. I'm going to give you some tips on how to start slowly, or if you're in a rush, how to make that move happen and make it simpler so that you can get from point A to point B and live the life that you want. So stay tuned. Now, this will come as no surprise that the first thing I'm going to talk about is working with an agent that understands the different types of life transitions you may be going through. As I mentioned before, maybe you've raised your family there and it's just you, or just you and your spouse. Maybe you had a home that was for parties and for entertaining, and now you just want something simple because you want to focus on traveling and you don't want all of this maintenance. Or maybe the maintenance is the thing. There are homes out there that we get into that are 3,000-4,000 square feet and everything is great in the peak of our life, but then all of a sudden we think, I'm tired of mowing the grass. I'm tired of taking care of everything with this property. So I want something simple, or maybe even a condo community. Work with a realtor that understands that. Work with an agent that can help you show the timing, the importance of the timing when you make that move, how it can affect that move, and also show you different options that are out there. Whether it be looking into a smaller residential property, maybe it's moving into a condo community, or maybe it's moving into an association that is 55 and up, where everyone that's around you, if you're in that age bracket, is going to be in the same part of their life that you are. There are a lot of different options, and an agent knows exactly how to put you in contact and guide you through that process. And maybe you're thinking, well, I'm not really into a condo lifestyle. I want to just move to a smaller property, but how can I still make that fairly maintenance free? There are options out there as well. So working with an agent that's going to know exactly how to do that is important. And trust me, with an agent like myself that's been in the business for over 20 years, I also work with people that are senior transition specialists. They help with everything from estate sales, even if you're still in the home, to helping you downsize and helping you make that transition. So all you have to do is call me up and say, David, I'm ready, and we make it happen. Now, one of the most important things that people ask me right out of the bat is, how do I make that happen? I've lived in this property for a number of years. Maybe I don't have a mortgage on this property. How do I get out of this home and into the next so that I don't have potentially two mortgages or two properties I have to take care of? And let me tell you, there are options. Everything from HELOC loans, which stands for Home Equity Line of Credit, and that will get you out of the property so you have a down payment for that next property. You can go ahead and make that move and sell your other home on the back end, all the way to recasting your loan, meaning you have a minimum down payment on your new property, and then once your other home sells, you can then take that equity, move it into the new property, and thus pay down that potential mortgage or just pay it off. Now, you can also look at something called bridge loans. Bridge loans were very popular back in the day, and they're starting to make a little bit of a resurgence here. Bridge loans actually will cover the entire mortgage amount for not only your existing property, but also the property you're looking to purchase. So at the end of the day, once you're able to close on everything, you're essentially moving that equity. Now, there are restrictions on how much they calculate based off of how much equity you have in your first home. So talk to a licensed real estate agent such as myself, or talk to a mortgage broker that specializes in those bridge loans, because there is a little bit more paperwork than the typical loan process. But there are ways to make it happen. Now, also lastly, the very, very traditional way of making this move happen is to actually put your home onto the market, and then once you are able to get your home under contract, immediately writing a contract on a new home that would be contingent on close. Those are pretty easy to come by, and you can actually make that happen fairly simple. Most sellers are willing to work with a contingent upon close offer. What I want to remind you though is, if you do not have your home onto the market yet, or you do have your home on the market and you do not have a contract on that, and you wish to write an offer on another property contingent on the close of that property, that offer is now called contingent upon sale. That means it's a little more open-ended, and that seller takes a little bit more risk because they don't know how long it could take you to sell your property. There are also things such as your inspections, your appraisals, everything like that wouldn't even start until after you have a contract on your first home. So those can be a little bit more tricky, and in a really tight market, especially like we're in right now where there's multiple offers and people are releasing contingencies left and right, sometimes writing that offer contingent upon sale is not going to get you anywhere. And side note, little insider tip here, a lot of times the listing agents and the sellers will put what's called a first right of refusal on there. What a first right of refusal is, they may accept your offer, but they're going to continue to market the property on the open market. Should somebody else come along in the meantime, before you have a contract on yours, and write them a non-contingent offer that they wish to go through with, they will give you a certain amount of time. Sometimes it's 24 hours, sometimes it's 48 hours, sometimes it's just a couple of hours, and they tell you, listen, you have to remove your contingency and move forward with your original contract, or we're going to void your contract and move forward with this new buyer. So there are risks involved for everybody. Work with someone that's been through this. I've done this so many times. I can give you the pros and cons and make it happen. Now, I've helped countless families and individuals make these transitions to smaller properties, condos, 55 up communities, or just smaller homes. And I've learned a lot from watching them also go through the process. And the first thing I want to talk about is just letting go. Focusing on what's important. It's really easy to look at your home and say, well, I've had everything here for 20, 30, 40 years, and I don't want to let go of everything. But at the same time, the other half of me wants to get into that new property that is potentially maybe half the square footage that you're in right now. The biggest thing is to focus on what's important. It's not about losing something, it's about gaining clarity. It's about regaining your life and achieving your goals that you have moving forward. Like I said before, maybe as opposed to hosting all those parties and having everybody over to the house every holiday, every weekend, maybe you want to focus on going out there and visiting those families, traveling across the country, traveling across the world, and focusing on travel and your lifestyle. That's clarity, and that is what is most important when it comes to these moves. So I always say it in a million times when I talk to other people, I'm not only a realtor, I not only help people buy and sell and achieve wealth through real estate, but I'm also sometimes a therapist, and I am always happy to walk through that and be an ear and be a guide and help you out. One thing that I'm keenly aware of is that this process can be extremely overwhelming. I'm not naive to that. I'm here to help you out, but I also understand that there is a lot more weight on your shoulders, and some of that I just can't help you with physically. But it's all about building momentum. Start with the small things. Everyone, I bet, watching this video somewhere in your home, probably in your kitchen, has a drawer. At least here in the Midwest, we call it a junk drawer. If you call it something else, I would love to hear what you call that as well. I'd love to learn new things. So if you have a different name for it, please comment on that. But we call it a junk drawer. Those are things that are quite literally junk. They're things that we hang on to. The extra pen, the extra pencil, duplicates of something, a button. It all goes into that drawer. Start with emptying that out first. You'll be surprised once you start small, you snowball that removal and you build momentum. Then you can move on to things saying, okay, well, I've emptied out the junk drawer. Now let me go through items that are maybe expired, things that are of little to no importance, things that I've been saving for the past 5 years that I have never looked back on, and start with that and let it snowball. Once you start that going, you can finish off that one single room. Then the very next week, very next day, you go into the next room and start the process over again. You'd be surprised how in just a few short weeks, you'll get through the entire house and you won't feel quite as overwhelmed as you were when you first started the process. Have you ever heard of the 80-20 rule? It's a rule in business that says that 20% of the people in a certain industry, in this one real estate, do 80% of the work. And I bet you, whatever market you're in, if you're not in the Dayton market, if you were to go in there and take a look at the agents that do a lot of business in your area, you would find that 20% of the agents in that entire board sell 80% of the real estate out there. And selling your home and downsizing is no different, especially when it comes to your closets. Did you know, it is a fact, that 20% of the clothes that you have in your closet, you wear 80% of the time. It's true. One of the things I'd like to tell people to do is, if you're in no hurry and you want to really test this theory out, every time you take something off the hanger in your closet, when you go to put it back after it's washed or after you get home for the evening, turn that hanger around so it's facing the opposite direction. Do that for about a month. After a month, you will find that only 20% of those hangers are turned around. The other 80%, you haven't even touched. So the facts are there. You only wear 20% of your closet 80% of the time. That makes it easy for you to say, it's time for me to take some of these clothes away. Donate them. Get the tax write-off or donate them. Find an organization out there that takes those donations and puts them to good use. We have an organization here in Dayton called Clothes That Work, and they help put people into business attire for interviews and workplace. And that's a great way to get rid of your clothes as well, the things that you don't need that are gently used and somebody else will get use out of. So start small. Remember, 80-20. Now, furniture layout's a big one, so plan ahead. Don't just think about, I really want to keep this piece of furniture, I really like this chair, I really like this armoire. Think about what your lifestyle is going to be once you move into that new property. And if that piece does not fit your new lifestyle, then it's not going to fit into your new property. And one of the great things about being able to purchase a home potentially first or simultaneously while you're moving out of your old home is we can go over there. I'm always happy to help. And we take a roll of masking tape. We measure out the items that are an absolute must. Maybe it's your bed, your dresser, a table that's been passed down over the years. We know what those dimensions are. We can go into that new house. We can tape out the areas and see exactly how it's going to fit. Then you're going to know, are these the only items that I'm going to be able to take, or do I have a little extra space? And if you don't have any extra space, then it's time to release the other items from your life so you can move forward with your goals and your aspirations. There's a great saying that I say time and time again when I'm working these situations, and it's keep the memories, not the stuff. If you have a lot of items, let's say a ton of photographs. You know, photographs today are all digitized, but if you have photos from family, from great-grandparents, everything moving back, you may think, well, I don't want to get rid of these. Those are memories. The actual physical photo itself does not have that much weight. It does not bear that much weight when it comes to what you're taking with you. If you can digitize those, you can put them into a safe space to where you have access to what those memories actually are, and you don't actually have the bulk of everything else. Create a memory box. And if you do have those treasured pieces, family heirlooms, things that have been passed down, jewelry, furniture, you name it, and you just can't find a space for it, and you don't know what to do, find somebody in your family that has the space for it and would love to carry on that tradition. And that will help you feel so much better about those moves. You don't feel like you're throwing out anything. Remember, those items that you're leaving behind are just the items. You already have the memories. So keep that in mind. Let's digitize everything. You'll be able to sit on your couch with your iPad, your iPhone, your laptop, whatever it is, or even put it up on your TV and experience those memories time and time again without taking up an entire closet. This next little bit falls right in line with what we just talked about, digitizing everything. So many times I'll come across somebody who has saved all their paperwork. They have their original deed. They have their original owner's policy of title insurance. They have every single document ever known to man for anything that's ever happened. And they just have this huge folder or booklet and they want to keep it, but it's just so much space and they don't know what to do with it. Once again, digitize that stuff. In today's society, you don't need a lot of that physical paperwork. It's always funny when I close on a property and the title company has the seller sign the deed, transferring the property to the new owner, and they tell those new owners it will be about 3 to 4, maybe 5 weeks, and you'll get the original copy of the deed in the mail. And the buyers always go, that's great, what do I do with it? And the answer is nothing. It's not like owning a car. You don't have to have the actual title. You can move on and you don't have to have the physical deed. Now, it's important not to lose that, but that copy is always on record with the county. So you'd be surprised what documents you have that you don't actually need physical copies of, that you can go in and digitize those copies. Now, hopefully going through all these different steps didn't stress you out more. If this is something you're considering, most importantly, have a plan. Sit down, talk with your spouse, talk with your friends, talk with your family, and say, I need to make a plan. I need to know if you can help me out with this, and when we should start, and what our goal is. And let me tell you, putting a time frame on that plan is going to help you tremendously. So many times I meet people that their goal is to downsize, simplify their life, do some traveling, but they don't have a deadline. And then what happens is they say, let's get together in a few weeks. I follow up in a couple of weeks and they say, I haven't had a chance to do that yet. And the same thing happens over and over and over again. Then I finally say, when would you like to start making this transition? When would you like to be out doing all the things you keep dreaming about and talking about? And ultimately they say, as soon as possible. I say, great. Let's look at 60 days down the road from getting your home onto the market or getting you under contract on a new property, and let's make that a hard stop. And from that moment on, they know exactly what they're doing. They break it out in those small chunks, and we get them taken care of. So once again, make sure you're working with someone that's going to help guide you through the process. I don't just put for sale signs in front yards. I don't just write contracts for buyers. I help people organize a plan to make their life simpler and make their life goals achievable. And if this is one of yours, I want to talk to you too. So if you're the first time you've watched one of these videos before, I post these every single week. Maybe there's going to be tips here in the future, or in my past videos that'll be of assistance. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, let me know how you feel about all this, or let me know some of your personal tips that you would love to share. Maybe you can help somebody else. And I love selling real estate in Dayton.